Hey, what's up, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer55551, and I am back with a My 2 Cent Switch/gaming video for this week, the week of March 17th through the 23rd, where I take a look at some of the stories that caught my attention and give you my thoughts and my opinion. And apparently, we got 7 stories to talk about, including the reveal of Google Stadia, Stadia, apologize I'm not saying that name correctly, to a surprisingly good Nindies Direct with a game that was rumored to be that could be coming to the Switch, turns out to be true. So we're going to get started with our My 2 Cent video, and we'll start off, of course, with the Nindies. That is basically Nintendo's, Indies Direct that they did this week. And I honestly have to say that this one was actually pretty good, and there were some surprises and some announcements of several indie games that they were shown. Now, I understand indie games may not appeal to everybody, and that may be true, but every once in a while, sometimes it does feel like there are indie games out there that are certainly better than a lot of the AAA games that have come out, and there were certainly some good surprises though. For what they were shown, again, several articles talk about this, and link will be in the description, but this one will be reading off of mynintendo.com. Some of the games they announced were basically, obviously, Crypt of the Neo Dancer featuring The Legend of Zelda, Cadence of Hyrule, Cuphead, which I'll get to that one. Strange Things 3, the game, which is based off of the Netflix series Strange Things. I haven't really seen that show yet, although I heard some good things. I really gotta take a look at that one. Red Lantern, Rad, Katana Zero, Nuclear Throne, Super Crate Boy, Vainber Arcade with Ultra Bugs, My Friend Pedro, Creatures in the Well, Blaster Master 02, Pine, if I'm saying the name correctly, Blood Roots, Overland, Dark Woods, Neocap, and Swimsania, if I'm saying the name correctly though. And I will say, while all these games are certainly appealing, and they might appeal to certain people, though, I will say the ones that stuck out for me the most, we'll start with the first one, would be the Devolve Digital ones. I gotta say, when it comes to games from Devolve Digital, they do create certainly fun games, not to mention their E3 presentations are always very unique. It always comes off as sort of an anti-E3, and I certainly can't argue against that. And last year, they put out The Messenger for the Nintendo Switch, and I really did enjoy that game. That game had a bit of a Ninja Gaiden feel to it, though. And so I'm very happy to look forward to try out their 2 games. The first one, of course, is My Friend Pedro, Pedro, which according to My Nintendo, they write, Devolve Digital and Death Toast deliver what is undoubtedly the first game about friendship and imagination and one man's struggle to obliterate anyone in his path at the behole of a sentinel banana. Players unleash torrents of destruction with an incredible level of controls over both their weapons and bodies. They can twist and turn in the air while aiming both hands and priority threats, or line up a perfect ricochet shot to an unspecific gangsters from behind. The game launches exclusively as a system exclusive on the Nintendo Switch in June. Definitely interesting in that one. Love 2D shooters, so I'm definitely going to keep an eye out on that one. The other one from Devolve Digital is Katana Zero. Devolve Digital and ASKIISOFT have created a style neo-noir action platform featuring breakneck action and instant death combat. Players take a role of an assassin, the dragon, to slash, dash, and manipulate time to unravel their past in a beautiful, brutal, acrobatic display. Players can overcome the opposition, however the situation requires, as each level is uniquely designed for countless methods of completion. Deflect gunfire back at foes, dodge oncoming attacks, and manipulate enemies and environments with traps and explosions. Leave no survivor. The game launches on Nintendo Switch April 18th and is available for pre-purchase starting today. That one also got my attention from Devolve Digital, as I definitely get a little bit of a kind of like a, again, like The Messenger, a bit of a Ninja Gaiden, Shinobi, and perhaps maybe a Strider feel to it. So that one I want to take a look at. The other one, I forgot to mention this one, is Rad from Double Fine Production and Bandai Namco Entertainment America. Basically, it says the game. They're saying that it presents a 3D action roguelike set in a post-apocalyptic world. As a teenager protagonist, players must journey into the Fallow that's my phone. Fallow, an ever-changing procedural-generated wasteland that holds the secrets of the past and answers the future. Here, radioactive toxins will randomly mutate your character, giving you powerful new abilities that challenge you to constantly adapt your playstyle. Using these abilities and your trusted bat, you have been tasked with saving humanity's future by healing the world. The game launches on Nintendo Switch this summer. This one also looks very interesting. I like the 80s style to it, so it's definitely one I'm going to take a look at, though. One last thing about that one that's coming from Double Fine Production. While I'm looking forward to Rad, I would love to see if they can able to port, say, Brutal Legends, the first that was released on the PS3 and 360. I would love to see that game come to the Nintendo Switch if that ever happens. That would be, no pun intended, but it's going to sound cheesy, but I'm going to say it anyway. That would be rad, okay? Yeah. Call it a bad pun, just say what you want. I'd say it anyway. And of course, the other one is, of course, Blaster Master Zero 2 from Indie Creates. It says, quote, Blaster Master 2 sets its sequel months after the events of Blaster Master Zero. Jason and Eve must venture into the depths of space to stop the mutant infection that slowly corrupts Eve's body. Thankfully, stopping mutant outbreaks is Jason's specialty. The game launches on Nintendo Switch today. I enjoyed the first Blaster Master Blaster Master Zero when that was a launch title from the Nintendo Switch back in 2017. Loved the retro 8-bit 2D style, especially a little bit of the Metroidvania in it as well. A couple of hiccups they had on that one was, one, at the time when the game launched, they didn't put Pro Controller support on it, which seems a little bit odd, although they later updated that. And two, there is sort of that bug where if you park the Blaster Master at an edge or something like that and you get out, you won't be able to get back in, which is sort of a little bit annoying and all. But nevertheless, I did enjoy that game, and I just recently downloaded it, so I'll try to get a review on that one as soon as possible. But yes, definitely Blaster Master Zero 2. And finally, the last two is Cryptic of the Necro Dancer, Cadence of Hyrule. It said, in the latest rhythm action adventure from Brace Yourself Games, you can enjoy the gameplay of Crypto of the Necro Dancer in the setting of the Legend of Zelda series. As Link or Princess Zelda, players explore randomly generated overworld and dungeons on a quest to save Hyrule and even beat the 25 remix Legend of Zelda tunes. It's a chance to move, attack, defend, and more. From modern-looking LYNELS to Hyrule soldiers of old, players must master the instructive movement of each pixel art enemy and strategically outstep them in a rhythm combat using an arsenal of iconic items from the Legend of Zelda, as well as spells from the Cryptic of the Necro Dancer. The game is scheduled to launch this spring. This one caught my attention, and it's kind of interesting that Nintendo, somewhat interesting to see them license out some of their characters to other developers, although we've seen this in the past before. I believe they had Bandai Namco help with the development of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and not to mention the Wii U and 3DS, to them handling Mario Kart. to even seeing Koei Tecmo do, you know, games like Hyrule Warriors, not to mention Fire Emblem Warriors. So it's nice to see Nintendo is licensing out some of their characters to some of these developers, and it's interesting that they're licensing out to an indie developer as well. Hopefully, I'm willing to try this game out, and I'm willing to try the Cricket of the Necto Dancer. I may have to take a look at that on the eShop and see if that one is interesting, because I may have skipped that one. I want to try that out. And last but not least is the announcement that was rumored for months and weeks, and it's now been confirmed true, and that is Cuphead, the exclusive from Microsoft on the Xbox One, and then eventually making its way over to the PC, is on its way to come to the Nintendo Switch. Not to mention, there has been reports coming out that a physical version is going to happen, which is a plus for me, as I will probably pick up the physical version, to the fact that the game will run at 60 frames per second, 1080p when docked, I assume 720p when undocked. Undocked though. So basically they're saying Studio MDRH brings its run-and-gun action game to the Nintendo Switch. Inspired by the cartoons of the 1930s, the visual and audio are painstakingly created with the same technique of the era, such as traditional hand-drawn cell animation, watercolor backgrounds, and original jazz recording. The game launches on Nintendo Switch on April 18th. That's the digital version. From what I understand, the physical version will follow most likely after they do some of the DLCs, for what I've been reading, though. Cuphead, that is really, to me, that, like I said, after hearing rumors that Cuphead's coming to Nintendo Switch is really interesting. And it makes you kind of wonder now, does this, I mean, what could Microsoft bring over to the Nintendo Switch? Could the rumors of Ori and the Blind Forest turn out to be true? Which I think there's a good chance that is, but could this open the door to the possibility that we could see maybe other games from Microsoft make its way over to the Nintendo Switch, such as probably the Forza, Halo, or even the Gear series make their way over to the Nintendo Switch, to even if the rumors about maybe the Xbox Game Pass, though. So it's really interesting Microsoft is letting this happen, and based on some of the comments I've heard from other people on social media, whether it's Facebook and all, or Twitter, some comments I've been hearing have been, and I kind of agree with this in a way, is the fact that Microsoft might be doing this as sort of a way to not only counter Sony, especially with the upcoming PlayStation 5, and try to build a relationship, but also, you know, not only expanding the Xbox brand, but seeing how the Xbox name isn't exactly as popular in Japan as, say, the Switch is, like Nintendo, or the PS4 like Sony is, putting your games on maybe like a system like that could reach out to a whole new audience and all. So there is that possibility. But with this announcement of Cuphead coming, it really kind of opens the door to seeing what other games from Microsoft could come to the Nintendo Switch. Not to mention, it does sound like that with Cuphead coming, it's probably only a matter of time before Xbox Live comes to the Nintendo Switch, to even the possibility that we could maybe see Xbox Game Pass come to Nintendo Switch. It's a little too early to know for certain, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. But I am kind of surprised, but I am definitely looking forward to seeing Cuphead and trying it out when it's released onto Nintendo Switch. So overall, my take on the indies for this one is, this was a pretty good Indies Direct, though, or Nindies Direct from Nintendo, though. I mean, there were certainly some games that interest me the most, and I obviously will have to say, the biggest, to me, the shock and hearing about the rumors is that Cuphead is coming to the Nintendo Switch. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to get to part 2 of our My 2 Cent video. And this one, we're going to take a look at the results of February 2019 NPD sale. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of our My 2 Cent video for this week. And for this one, we're going to be taking a look at the NPDs. The NPDs released their results for February 2019, and there's some good news for ranging from third-party developers to, well, even Nintendo as well. So we'll start off with the first part, which is the hardware sale. And according to VentureBeat, at least from what they got from the NPD, they are reporting that the Nintendo Switch outsold the Xbox One and the PS4 in February 2019. They basically say, quote, "The current hardware generation is starting to show its age in terms of sales. That's giving the young Nintendo Switch an opportunity to snatch up a lot of hardware dollars. Nintendo's hybrid home handheld console outsold the PS4 and Xbox One in the US last month, according to industry tracking firm the NPD Group. Nintendo Switch is the best-selling hardware platform of February, NPD analyst has said, and for 2019 year to date, though. And it makes sense that the Switch is selling better. The rest of the hardware market in the US is finally starting to trend down. While console sales were up year to year for all platforms in 2018, that's not the case in 2019 so far. Hardware spending in 2019 declined 12% when compared to a year ago to $277 million. But Nintendo Switch isn't just performing well in relation to the current PS4 and Xbox One. The Switch delivers some of the best February results for the company in years. Nintendo generated its highest February month hardware dollar sales since February 2011. The company also reached the highest year-to-date dollar sales from Nintendo produced hardware since 2011. In February 2011, Nintendo was selling both the Wii and the Nintendo DS, and while both were beyond their primes at that point, they combined to sell more than 900,000 total consoles. Although it's important to remember the Switch costs more than either of those systems did at that point. Regardless, the Switch has momentum, and each month finds its new way to maintain that velocity. The Switch's strong February sales come despite a dearth of new big-name releases at retails. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate was once again the platform's best-selling game through, and it seems likely that mega hit continues to drive adaptations. Smash Ultimate was number 7's best-selling game of February in the US, and that does not include digitals. Throughout the first 2 months of 2019, Smash is the number 1 best-selling game of the year. Best-selling game of the year. So obviously, from a hardware perspective, though, or looking at that, the February was definitely a good year for Nintendo and the Switch and the Nintendo Switch. And while I'm not a big fan of like Super Smash Brothers or anything like that, I won't deny that Smash Brothers is definitely pushing people to buy the Nintendo Switch, as there are people that will buy a system just to play one game, and usually Smash Brothers is that game. As crazy as that sounds, there are people that are willing to do that. As far as software goes, apparently several games definitely did well. On the software side, in terms of that, as far as Nintendo goes, obviously Smash Brothers entered in at number 7, while New Super Mario Bros. U entered in at number 11. Mario Kart 8 is at number 12, and The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is at number 15. Super Mario Party is at number 17. For Sony, however, it seems as though their only game for the best-selling games of January 18th was Marvel's Spider-Man, which entered in at number 20. The number 1 game, based off February's 2019 NPD, and although this game is considered to be controversial and has seen negativity towards it, it wasn't enough to stop it from being at the number 1 spot, and that of course is Anthem, with Jump Force at number 2 and Kingdom Hearts at number 3. Basically they're saying, quote, Anthem was the best-selling game of February 2019 and now it's the second best-selling game of 2019. Anthem represents the second highest launch month sale ever recorded for a BioWare-developed game, trailing only to March 2012's release of Mass Effect 3. And that doesn't even include Anthem's PC digital sales. More importantly, it doesn't count the people who sign up for EA's Access Origin Premier service for $15 per month. That figure is likely significant since the membership gets play access to libraries of old games such as Battlefield, I think that's 5, if I'm saying, again, I don't know, don't know much about Roman numerals, so I apologize if I get that wrong, and Madden NFL 19. As Jump Force, they point out that Jump Force debuted at February's second best-selling game. Launch month sales volume of Jump Force is the third highest total ever achieved for a title published by Bandai Namco Games. Jump Force is currently the fourth best-selling game of 2019 year to date. They also say never overestimate the taste of anime fans. Kingdom Hearts 3 continues to do very well on that list. It says Kingdom Hearts 3 ranks as the third best-selling game of February and maintains its number one selling position year to date. Over the first 2 months in the market, Kingdom Hearts 3 remains the fastest-selling game in franchise history, exceeding the time ALIGNED sales of Kingdom Hearts 2 by over 80%. And of course, Metro Exodus is on there as well. Metro Exodus was the 8th best-selling game of February. Launch month sales of Metro Exodus set a new franchise record, besting the month one sales of Metro Last Light by nearly 50%. In terms of the best-selling games so far for 2019, apparently the only first-party game on the list they have is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate at number 6. Otherwise, Kingdom Hearts at number 1, Anthem at number 2, Resident Evil 2 Remake at number 3, Jump Force at number 4, Red Dead Redemption 2 at number 5. I already told you about Smash Bros. Ultimate. Number 7, Call of Duty Black Ops 4. Number 8, New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, the second game to make it on that list. Apologize for not mentioning that. NBA 2K19 at number 9, Ace Combat 7, Skies Unknown at number 10. As far as the best-selling games for the last 2 months, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and Mario Kart 8, as far as Nintendo's first-party games, made it onto the list, while Sony's Marvel Spider-Man and God of War entered in on the list at number 8 for God of War, number 6 for Marvel Spider-Man. I forgot to mention number 4 for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and Mario Kart 10 at number 8. But as for everything else, Red Dead Redemption 2 is at number 1 as the best-selling game for the last 12 months. Call of Duty Black Ops 4 at number 2. NBA 2K19 at number 3. Talked about Smash Bros. Ultimate at number 4. Number 5, Madden NFL 19. Number 6, as mentioned, Marvel Spider-Man. Number 7, Far Cry 5. Number 8, God of War 2018. Number 9, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. And number 10, of course, Mario Kart 8. As far as best-selling games for each system, Xbox One, unfortunately, none of the first-party games have made it onto their lists. Obviously, Crackdown 3 didn't make it on there, though. So everything else is third-party games, with Anthem at number 1, Jump Force at number 2, Far Cry New Dawn at number 3, Red Dead Redemption 2 at number 4, Kingdom Hearts 3 at number 5, Black Ops 4 at number 6, NBA 2K19 at number 7, Resident Evil 2 Remake at number 8, Metro Exodus at number 9, and Grand Theft Auto 5 at number 10. Let's be honest, Grand Theft Auto 5 is becoming the new Skyrim at this point. As far as the PS4 goes, the only best-selling game for January 2019 they have here that is from a first-party game is apparently Marvel Spider-Man, which enters in at number 10. Otherwise, Anthem is at number 1, Jump Force is at number 2, Kingdom Hearts 3 at number 3, Red Dead Redemption 2 at number 4, Resident Evil 2 Remake at number 5, Metro Exodus at number 6, Far Cry New Dawn at number 7, and NBA 2K19 at number 8, and Call of Duty Black Ops 4 at number 9. As far as Nintendo Switch goes, Minecraft is the only third-party game on this list that is at number 10. Otherwise, everything is first-party games, with New Super Smash Bros. Ultimate at number 1, New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe at number 2, Mario Kart 8 at number 3, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild at number 4, Super Mario Party at number 5, Super Mario Odyssey at number 6, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu at number 7, Pokemon Let's Go Eevee at number 8, and Splatoon 2 at number 9. So I will say the takeaway from this, from February's 2019 NPD report, is the fact that, one, the Switch is continuing to do very well for Nintendo, and that certainly is a good thing, especially if you're a Nintendo fan like I am, though. How well it will do when, say, something like the PS5 or when the next Xbox, whether it's Xbox Scarlet, comes out, remains to be seen, or how well it will do when Google released the Strata, apologize if I'm not saying the name correctly. That too remains to be seen, but it's certainly, right now, the Switch is certainly doing very well for Nintendo for the moment. And the other thing we could take away from it is, of course, Jump Force certainly has done very well. Kingdom Hearts 3 continues to do very well. But the one thing that I will say that you could take away from this is that despite the negativity, despite the criticism and all that, it doesn't seem to have stopped Anthem from being successful for EA. So apparently it took the number 1 spot. Will it still be there when the next NPD report comes out? Who knows? But as of right now, Anthem is so far the number one best-selling game so far of January. Oh, that's January 2018. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Best-selling game of 2019. Oh, okay. Oops, my bad. Anthem entered in at number 2, though, but it became the best-selling game for January 2019 for Xbox One and PS4. Be interesting to see what it is when the NPD releases, say, their next NPD in, say, March to be exact. But overall, it looks like good news for Anthem, and certainly good news for Nintendo regarding the Nintendo Switch. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to get to part 3, and this one has to do with the rumor that not only could Gearbox be bringing Borderlands 2 over to the Nintendo Switch, but it is possible that Bulletstorm Full Clip Edition could come to the Nintendo Switch as well. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 3 of our My Two Cent video for this week. And for this one, we're going to be taking a look at what appears to be was kind of a tweet that puts out that tease that gave the possibility that Bulletstorm Full Clip Edition could find its way over to the Nintendo Switch. Now, last week, Gearbox sort of put out a little bit of a tease of basically them appearing, I think, at PAX East, if that's the right event. Apologize if it isn't. And it said something like see you like in March like 29th and so forth, with a display that was very similar to, say, the art style seen in the game Borderlands, which gave the impression that Borderlands 3 could be announced at PAX. The other thing they did was tease, and they showed a clip that looked like it came from the game Borderlands 2, and many kind of have speculated that Borderlands 2 could come to the Nintendo Switch. Now, I'm not against the idea of bringing Borderlands 2 for the Nintendo Switch, pending that it runs well on the Nintendo Switch and it contains all the DLCs. But if you're asking my honest opinion, I would prefer, say, Borderlands, the Handsome Collection, to come to Nintendo Switch, which has Borderlands 2 and the pre-sequel, though. Not to mention, I would love to see if Borderlands 3 would come to the Nintendo Switch. That would be great if that ever does happen, though. Well, now it seems as though Gearbox may be teasing something else, and that it is possible that Bulletstorm, another game published by Gearbox, could make its way over to the Nintendo Switch. According to several articles, this one from Gaming Bolt, it reads, Bulletstorm Full Clip Edition related announcement possibly being teased by Gearbox. Might be in the title, it might be a switchboard. It says, quote, lately, Gearbox has been teasing quite a few announcements for their upcoming panel at PAX East. Okay, so it's PAX East. So good. Hopefully I got that one right. The most notable of these, of course, has been Borderlands 3, while other announcements separate that has been teased as well. But clearly, there's even more stuff up their sleeves that they plan on revealing at the end of this month. For instance, a new update on Twitter, Gearbox put up an image from Bulletstorm Full Clip Edition, featuring one of the main characters, Ishi Sato, Ishisato, apologize if I'm not saying the name correctly, and Duke Nuke, who wasn't in the original Bulletstorm but was made playable in the remastered version, which, I mean, it was interesting to see him there, but it felt like Gearbox had no idea what to do with the Duke Nuke character or something like that. But some people liked it, some people didn't, though. So anyway, the update is accomplished with the caption, "Time to release another game from PAX." What's interesting about the tease, though, is that the image is a mirror image of the original picture from the game, as pointed out by DualShock. Are they possibly hinting a Switch port with this Switch image? Would it be the worst way to tease for something? This isn't all Gearbox has teased for the Switch recently. A couple of days back, they were teasing what many thought looked like a Switch port of Borderlands 2, and they basically showed how they switched the characters around and all that part. Honestly, we won't know until Gearbox hosts their PAX panel, so I will set my expectations for a mile to be exact. That said, I wouldn't have a problem with Bulletstorm's Full Clip Edition coming to the Nintendo Switch. I mean, the game's humor and language may not appeal to everybody, but then again, it's the same way I view South Park. You either love the humor or you hate the humor and so forth, but the gameplay was kind of fun. It was sort of like showing off creative ways how you can kill your enemies, without being, traditional, like, run and gun kind of approach, though. So, would I be open to the idea of Bulletstorm Full Clip Edition coming to the Nintendo Switch? Yeah, if they could get it running properly on the Nintendo Switch, that would be great. I'm hoping for 1080p 60 frames per second dock or 720p 60 frames per second. If that's the only resolution they can aim with, though, 720p 60 frames per second undocked, though. So I'm hoping they can hit that 60 frames per second on the game, and hopefully you'll have any of the DLCs, even the Duke Nuke one, even if Duke Nuke is not your type of game. But it would be really interesting if it turns out that Bulletstorm and Borderlands 2 are coming to the Nintendo Switch. I would be open to those games coming to the Nintendo Switch. Yes, I understand some people might be iffy about Gearbox, might be somewhat iffy about Gearbox given the reputation they earned, especially with the debacle of the mess that was Alien Colonial Marines. But I am not against games like Bulletstorm Full Clip Edition or Borderlands coming to the Nintendo Switch if the rumors are true. And while I certainly would look forward to both of those games coming over, I would say I'm a bit more excited with Borderlands coming to the Nintendo Switch. I'm more leaning towards that because I enjoy that series a little bit more, especially with that being the true looter shooter, and I also like the combination of mixing shooters with RPG mechanics on that one. So overall, my takeaway is that I'm setting my expectation mild to what Gearbox might be showing off at PAX East, but I am hoping that the rumors are true. I'm hoping that Borderlands 2 does come to the Nintendo Switch, running well, and basically having all its DLC. And like I said, I would prefer the Handsome Collection, though. And I do hope that Bulletstorm Full Clip Edition does come to the Nintendo Switch as well, again with all of its DLCs and running very well on the Nintendo Switch. And hopefully, maybe they'll announce Borderlands 3. So my fingers are crossed on this one, though. I'm setting my expectation mild but I do hope these rumors about Borderlands 2 and Bulletstorm Full Clip Edition coming to the Nintendo Switch are true, and hopefully the announcement of Borderlands 3 is also true as well. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to be taking a look at a rumor supposedly from a Reddit era or someone by the name of King Zell, who has a history of leaking some stuff regarding Nintendo-related stuff, who has just recently came out with a new rumor. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with our fourth part of our My True Scent video for this week. And for this one, we're going to be taking a look at a rumor that has been going around about possibly that we could see some sort of surprise for the Nintendo Switch. Now, obviously, 2019 could be a good year for Nintendo, and with the recent announcement of Cuphead coming to the Nintendo Switch, many are beginning to speculate, as I said right off from part one, of what could be coming to what other games, particularly maybe from Microsoft, could be coming to the Nintendo Switch. Well, it looks like King Zell has put out a rumor that could indicate could point out that we could see an impossible Switch announcement. Now, before I begin reading the article from Nintendo Soup, bear in mind this is a rumor and there's no way to 100% confirm this. So it is advised to those who are watching this video to take any rumor or anything like that with a grain of salt. That said, it's supposedly that this leaker by the name of King Zell has a history of getting most of his information correct. Nevertheless, grain of salt is certainly needed though. So now that I put that little disclosure out, why don't we get started with the article. According to what Nintendo Soup is reporting, if I could get it, there we go. It reports that, quote, the infamous leaker King Zell, Z-E-L-L, is at it again, this time with a cryptic message that sparks wave of speculation among gamers. Previously, King Zell made the news when he released hints that multiple third-party AAA game titles for Switch would be announced this month. Later, comments suggested that one of these was a Monster Hunter with a release window of late 2019, early 2020. Now, King Zell's most recent post on Rosetta, R-E-S-E-T-E-R-A, seemed to have sent the community into a frenzy once again. The comments that King Zell has wrote is, quote, some stuff coming to the Switch, at least one, it wasn't even possible years ago, can't wait to see the reaction here. And then he wrote something like, it wasn't possible like seeing Mario in a PlayStation console. The comment Mario on PlayStation is an interesting one. This is because the main reason it is considered unlikely for Mario to have a game on a PlayStation is because Mario is a Nintendo IP and the PlayStation is a rival console. It's the same principle as to why Pokemon is unlikely to come to the PlayStation despite the potential profit it could make. With this in mind, King Zell's analog or his angle on this on the Mario on PlayStation seems to suggest that this mystery title from an IP owned by a rival company, a title that most would have considered impossible to see on a Nintendo console till now. Bear in mind that something similar had happened with Sega's Sonic Hedgehog franchise, that there are some proceed to believe that might happen again. Due to the rumor of Microsoft collaborating with Nintendo, some fans are already pointing to Halo as the most likely possibility. That said, until an official announcement is made, all we could do is speculate at this time. So let's say, for argument's sake, what King Zell is saying, purely for argument's sake, is true. What could that game be? Well, there are, and of course, let's point out this story was reported 4 days ago. There are many ways you could look at this. The part where he says that wasn't even possible, there are ways you could look at that. Some might point to perhaps maybe the rumor that The Witcher 3, which many thought wasn't impossible, could be coming to the Nintendo Switch. So there may be, he could be referring to that. He could be referring to maybe like any other game like that was thought that couldn't even come to the Switch. Could be it. Could be it. I mean, after all, we've gotten games like Doom and Wolfenstein, and the upcoming Doom Eternal are coming to the Nintendo Switch. Games that were graphically demanding somehow make their way onto the Switch. So he could be referring to that. However, the part with the thought impossible, such as Mario being on the PlayStation, though, to me does give the impression, I do think this could be true, is that he could be pointing to that Microsoft could be bringing other IPs over to the Nintendo Switch as well. Some would point to, say, Ori and the Blind Forest. Some could point to even like Halo, and that would be interesting. Now, if it is Halo, though, let's again, and I do mean a if, though, it would be interesting if it's a port of, say, the individual games, or something like the Halo Anniversary Collection, or the Master Chief Collection, or even maybe the newest Halo game coming to the Nintendo Switch. So the way saying that could mean that it could be that kind of game, or it could be, say, maybe like Forza or Gears making their way over, or even maybe see games like the Crackdown games coming to the Nintendo Switch. So saying like it wasn't possible, like seeing Mario in a PlayStation console, gives the impression that Cuphead may not be the only game from Microsoft that Microsoft might bring over to the Nintendo Switch. But again, like anything, it is a rumor. We won't know until we see anything officially revealed. Perhaps maybe E3 will hear something, maybe whether it's from Microsoft or whether it's from Nintendo, so who knows. But for right now, at this time, it's still a rumor, so we'll have to wait and see. But I'm very interested, especially with the comment about impossible, we thought impossible but could make its way over to the Switch, to even like Mario on a PlayStation does somewhat give the impression that we could see something like Halo or something come to Nintendo Switch, or even the impossible one could be, say, the rumors about Scalebound possibly coming over. But again, as of right now, it is a rumor, so a grain of salt has to be taken, and we're going to have to take, at least as far as I'm concerned, a wait-and-see approach on this one, or a cautious wait-and-see approach. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to get to part 5, and this one has to do with Konami announcing a couple of collections of games coming to multiple platforms and PC and even the Nintendo Switch. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 5 of our My 2 Cent video for this week. And for this one, we're going to be looking at the announcement of Konami's collections, and they're announcing a anniversary collections of both the arcade games, Castlevania, and even Contra as well. As far as Konami goes, let's just say they've seen better days. Their reputation has not been, well, as great as it is, though. But back in like the 80s and the 90s, and even somewhat in the early 2000s, they produced some pretty quality games. Even some arcade games like the Ninja Turtle one, to even the Simpsons arcade game, which is to me probably the best Simpsons game ever made, to even some of their classic games such as Contra and Castlevania, and so forth. Well, it seems to be in honor of their so-called 50th anniversary, Konami has announced several collections of their games that will be coming not only to basically the PS4, but will come to the Xbox One, PC, Steam, and even Nintendo Switch. From an article on Game Radar, it's reported that In celebration of Konami's 50th anniversary, today the company has announced 3 collections of classic games which will bring dozens of Castlevania, Contra, and arcade classics to PS4, Xbox One, PC, Steam, and Nintendo Switch earlier this summer. And they announced is the Castlevania collection, which is Castlevania, Castlevania 2, Belmont's Revenge, Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse, Super Castlevania 4, and 4 currently unannounced games. They also announced the Contra Anniversary Collection, which contains Contra, Super C, Contra 3, The Alien Wars, and 4 currently unannounced games. As far as the arcade collection, it says the arcade collection will contain Haunted Castle with Typhoon, Ajax, Nemesis, Gratis, Vulcan Ventures, Gratis 2, Life Force, Salamander, Thundercross, Scramble, and Twin B. The Arcade Classic Collection will also come with ebooks with new information about these titles, including an interview with the development staff, behind-the-scenes insights, and sketches and designs documents never before revealed to the public. The Castlevania and Contra collection will come with ebooks of their own, presumably filled with similar details. Interestingly, the Castlevania ebook will also feature input from Ada, Adishanker, a producer of the excellent Castlevania anime series on Netflix, which I really enjoy that series on Netflix. If you haven't seen it, it's worth watching, both Season 1 and Season 2. The arcade collection will be released on April 18th, 2019. It's worth pointing out that supposedly these collections will be digital only, from what I understand, while the Contra and the Castlevania collections are scheduled for early this summer. Price point for the latter 2 collections have not been announced, but this author point out that, but I'll wager that they'll be close to the $20 price point to the arcade collection. All 3 collections will only be available digitally, so unfortunately it doesn't seem like we're going to get a physical version, which is somewhat unfortunate, but not really losing sleep over it though. I'm kind of both excited but kind of sad at the same time. It's excited that Konami is releasing these anniversary collections, which is certainly great, but at the same time, I'm kind of sad that this is what Konami has kind of reduced themselves to, though. I mean, obviously they're making money, but their reputation has kind of been tarnished, from the way they treat their employees to basically how some of the last game they put out, Metal Gear Survival, and the backlash that got as well. So it's really sad that this is kind of how they've been reduced to, but unfortunately it is what it is. Nevertheless, it is nice to see these collections of games start to make their way. As far as the currently unannounced games for both the Castlevania and the Contra one, I would say, if I had it my way, for the Castlevania Anniversary Collection, while I certainly wouldn't mind them putting maybe the Game Boy Advance or the Nintendo DS ones in there, if I had my way, I would say it would be Rodado of Blood, Symphony of the Night, which still I make that as my favorite Castlevania game, and possibly the 2 from the PlayStation 2 era. I think Curse of Darkness and Lament of Innocent. I apologize if I'm not saying the name correctly though. Although I would be open to the idea of the Lord of Shadow ones, both 1 and 2, coming over as part of the unannounced games. So, but that's my take on the Castlevania one. As far as the Contra one goes, I would say if they're currently putting 4 currently unannounced games on there, if they're going to add more to it, I would say I would put Hardcorps, if I'm saying the name correctly, Hardcorps Uprising, Contra's Shattered Soldier, I really like that one, and Neo Contra. Those would be the 4 I would put in as part of the Contra Anniversary Collection. Those are the ones I would like to see. So overall, nice that they are announcing this collection as well. It'll be interesting to see what the 4 unannounced games is. And so while it's great to see these games coming, at the same time, it is also kind of sad to see this is what Konami has been reduced to. But if you're a retro fan like I am and like some of these games, I'm pretty sure you're looking forward to trying these games out when they come out, supposedly later this year, with the arcade one coming out on April 18th, 2019. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to hear about that Disney somewhat, or at least to some degree, resurrected or Lucasfilm Games, although not in the way a lot of people were expecting. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 6 of our My 2 Cent video for this week. In this one, we're going to be talking about Lucasfilm Games, though. Now, for many of us, some of us may have memories of Lucasfilm Games, which actually they go by the name of LucasArts at a time, and they're mostly famous for putting out the Star Wars games, although they're also known for putting out games from the Indiana Jones series to even the classic point-and-click adventures, Monkey Island as well. So when Disney purchased LucasArts along with Star Wars back in 2013, though, for some it was kind of exciting because they announced a brand new entry in the Star Wars series with the release of The Force Awakening, which I enjoyed, though, to the controversial The Last Jedi, which to me, I don't think it's as bad as some people make it out to be. I don't think it's the best entry, but I didn't hate it as much as most of them out there. Most people would, although I think some of the harassments against some of the celebrities were unwarranted and unnecessary for that to happen, though. To the announcement the other announcement was Disney would allow EA to handle the Star Wars license, which obviously we've all seen how they have handled it so far, including the infamous controversial Battlefront 2 and the whole microtransaction and loot box, and we saw how that played out as well. Well, it seems as though Disney seems to be, in some degree, brought back Lucas Games, formerly known as at the time known as LucasArts, though, but probably not at the stage that people would have wanted to be. From an article from Engadget, they are reporting that, quote, "There hasn't been a Lucasfilm game-based release since before 1991's Monkey Island 2, but that isn't stopping Disney from resurrecting the classic label. The company recently posted several job listings for producer and market under the Lucasfilm Game badge, all of whom would oversee development of games based on Lucasfilm IPs like Star Wars. The team plans to support a wide range of platforms that could include living room consoles, PCs, smartphones, and AR/VR platforms. It's not certain when the Lucasfilm Games might launch an earnest PC game, and noted that there may be a good reason to choosing that name instead of a more contemporary LucasArts, though Disney kept LucasArts around as a licensor when it brought Lucasfilms, so it might not want to step on any toes as it returns to in-house game development. The move comes as doubt has mounted about EA's exclusive rights to the Star Wars game. The publisher has only released 2 Star Wars games in the 6 years since the deal, both of them in the Battlefront series, and Battlefront 2 left a bad taste in people's mouths as EA fondness for pay-to-win mechanism effectively wrecked the game's progression. The company has also developed a reputation for canceling games like the Visceral's linear Star Wars games, to be exact, which people would have probably enjoyed that one, though. And the jury out on Respawn's Jedi Fallen Order until it premieres in late 2019. Simply speaking, Star Wars game development slowed to a trickle under EA's watch and left many wondering if it was squandering the opportunity. That does not necessarily mean Lucasfilm's Games is about to override EA. The EA exclusive is supposed to last until 2023, and any in-house studio will likely take a few years to release its first game. However, this might indicate that Disney isn't completely happy with its reliance on any outside party and wants to take more control over the future of its title based on its brand. That is until the update came out, and apparently the update points out to a comment made by Disney. It says, Disney has reached out to the media to explain that this isn't a revival, and it's definitely not anything like LucasArts. The team at Lucasfilm that oversees game related to its IP, including Star Wars Battlefront 2, has been working under that name for years. As explained to Game Industry Buzz, Lucasfilm plans to continue its strategy of licenses its IP to others. So it doesn't seem that LucasArts or anything like that is being resurrected. It's basically that they're just going to license games to the Star Wars and probably the Indiana Jones to other developers, which is okay. But if that's the case, if that's the direction they're going to do, I really think they need to re-examine how they license this over, because the way EA has handled the Star Wars license has been unacceptable. Releasing the first Star Wars Battlefront 2, which was a multiplayer-only game with a $60 with little to no content, to a $50 DLC with little to no content, to how Star Wars Battlefront 2 was handled, especially the amount of backlash they got for basically the whole loot box and microtransactions, to the cancellation of a single-player Star Wars game from Visceral Games that I think would have actually sold well had not been for EA's reputation, and the fact that Bob Iger is still standing with EA after all this. I'm sorry, but if Lucasfilm Games, if you're basically overseeing these IPs, then I would say you need to do a better job. If you're letting other people, if you're letting other people work on the Star Wars license, you need to look at see if they are qualified to handle it, because right now, honestly, EA is not the kind of developer you want to handle your license. And after the reputation the Star Wars license has earned under EA, I really think you need to reevaluate who you give your license to. And there are other developers out there that are probably more talented that could do a better job than what EA is doing. Look at how the Marvel license has been handled. Look how Insomniac Game handled Marvel Spider-Man. Look how well that sold. Look at the upcoming release of Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. Although it's too early to tell whether that game will be a success or not, given that it's being run by Koei Tecmo, Team Ninja, and Nintendo publishing it, I do have confidence that game probably will do very well. In other words, and I've said, probably repeating the dead horse on saying this though, the fact that you guys are, I don't know whose idea was to oversee Star Wars Battlefront 2, but honestly, whoever it was did, in my view, a piss poor job on it. And I really think Disney, if you're letting Lucasfilm Games oversee the IPs, I think they need to do a better job, because how EA handled the Star Wars license is completely unacceptable. Though that license has so much potential, and you're just squandering it by letting EA handle it though. I am hoping that if the EA's hold on the license expires in 2023, I am hoping at the very least they give it to a developer that actually will take care of that license and can develop a quality, good Star Wars game out of it though, and not give it to EA that's pushing the whole games not only as a service but trying to nickel and dime people to death. I'm sorry, but I haven't touched the Star Wars. I am not touching an EA game, or I'm touching some EA handling of the Star Wars license. And although we haven't seen what Fallen Jedi is going to be, or if that's what it's being called, let me double check that again one more time. Oh, Jedi Fallen Order from Respawn. Given how EA's handled the Star Wars license, I seriously have my doubts at this time. So I'm not. I really think if this is what Lucasfilm Games is doing, I really think they need to re-examine how they handle the Star Wars license going forward, and any other license under the Lucasfilm Games, like the Indiana Jones. And while you're at it, why not dig into other games that was from LucasArts and put it under the Lucas game? Like, how about reviving maybe, say, Monkey Island or any other of the franchise? So hopefully Lucasfilm Games is looking at the Star Wars license and re-examining how to handle it, though, because the way they handled it now is really, really bad, especially how EA has handled it. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to get to part 7, and this one has to do with the announcement of Google Stadia, Stadia. Apologize, I'm not saying the name correctly. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with our 7th and final part of our My True Scent video, and this one we're going to be talking about Google finally revealing their official video game system, although not as a console, but as part of their streaming service, known by the name of Google Stadia, if I'm saying the name correctly, Stadia. Again, apologize if I'm not. Now, it was been rumored for quite some time that Google was going to be entering in the video game market with their own video game system. Although their approach was going to be a little bit different, as they were approaching it as part of basically their streaming service, though. And Google obviously has the money to do so, along with others like, say, Amazon as well, if they ever decide to do that too. And during the GDC 2019, they officially showed off what it is. Their idea is basically a Netflix style service where you could play it on anything from like your computer, TV, to even your smartphone, to even your tablet as well. So any device you could basically that supports Google Chrome can basically stream those games over. Some of the games they showed off was Assassin's Creed Odyssey as an example. This was shown last year running on Google Stadia. Now the response, not everybody either didn't really like their presentation and all. To some, the response has been kind of mixed, and in a way I kind of agree as well, though. The idea of streaming your games over like, say, a TV or your computer and all, while it seems interesting, though, it's a little iffy, though, because it does require a high-speed internet for that to happen, and not everybody does. And the idea of just streaming through it's like, not everybody is thrilled with the idea. Some people prefer the idea of picking up a physical copy and all that stuff. Plus, the idea is we don't know how much it costs and all that. So there's certainly some people who have their doubts about it, and I'm kind of one of those people who has doubts about whether this would take off or not. Most people remember the OnLive that tried to do that, and that didn't last long, and that flopped as well. Could this one succeed than, say, what OnLive did? Yes, I think there is a possibility, and I will say if there are some areas Google got right with this so far, there are at least 3 areas I believe that I think was kind of a smart move for them, though. The first one, of course, is the controller, though. Now, we've seen Google's Stadia's controller, and while some people may think it's ugly and all that stuff, we won't know until we get hands onto it, unless you want to read what other people think about it, though. So it might be comfortable, it might not be, we'll have to wait and see. But if there is one area about that I think that they at least got correct with it, though, is the fact that you can use really any controller if you want to. You can use, like, say, as we learned last week, something like, say, the Nintendo Switch controller if you want to use that. Obviously, you're not going to be able to use some of the features such as, like, the button that links up to, like, your YouTube and all that stuff, but at the very least, offering the option of using other controllers is definitely I think is a smart move. The other thing I do want to point out is, and I think this is a good step in the right direction, is that they're going to offer first-party games as well. And I think that's a very smart move on that part, because I think that's what could get people interested in trying out this service, to be that. Don't get me wrong, third-party support is certainly important. So does support for indie games as well, but first-party games are like the cream of the crop right there. Look at how well Sony has done with the PS4. Games like Bloodborne, Ratchet & Clank, Horizon Zero Dawn, Marvel Spider-Man, God of War, or look at the Nintendo Switch with games like Mario Odyssey, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Those kind of games are what pull people into buying those consoles, those kinds of exclusive, those first-party games. And I think offering first-party games are definitely a good step in the right direction. Are these kind of games that are going to convince people to go on board with the Google Stadia? That remains to be seen. We'll have to see if it really interests people or not. But at least having those first-party games, I believe, is a good step in the right direction, at least. And last but not least, being able to support engines like Unity to Unreal Engine 4 is definitely a good thing, because at least that will give developers now the tools that will make... Again, I'm not a developer, so I could be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure that will make it a little bit easier if they want to port their game over to the Google Stadia, that this will at least maybe eliminate some hurdles, to be exact. Much like I think it was a smart move for Nintendo to have Unreal Engine 4 support for the Nintendo Switch. So I will say those are probably the three areas I think that I believe that Google got right with the Google Stadia. Again, I apologize if I'm not saying the name correctly. That said, there's still a lot of uncertainty. We don't know how much this is going to cost. Will there be a monthly subscription fee? Will there be a yearly subscription fee? And while I do believe that digital distribution will be the new norm at some point, it's unfortunate, but I do believe that we're heading into that direction though. I'm just not 100% convinced about the whole streaming idea, especially if you don't have like a great internet connection though, and that could limit some people, to be exact. So I'm not entirely sure about this whole Google Stadia type, their idea for video game streaming though. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. We'll see how this plays out though, but they're really going to have to work hard to convince a lot of people. As for whether this will impact Sony and Nintendo, well, other than hearing that their stock kind of took a dip after this announcement though, I'm not too worried for it right now though. Nor am I worried this will impact Nintendo, or hugely feel like this will impact Nintendo, since they're kind of going in a little bit of a different direction with something like the Nintendo Switch, as they're advertising it as this is a console you could bring with you on the go. Nor do I see Nintendo doing a streaming service system, at least for the moment though. I could see them bring something like, say, if the rumors about Xbox Game Pass coming to Nintendo Switch, or even if Google Stadia decides to come to something like the Nintendo Switch, where you could stream games through your Nintendo Switch. I could see something like that, but I can't see that Nintendo doing a streaming service only at this time, because I think that would kind of limit the Nintendo Switch, considering that you're designing the Switch as a system you could play your games anywhere and bring it with you on the go, whether it's on a plane, train, or in a car, or at another place, or someone else's house, or another building, or anything like that. So my overall takes on it though is I'm not sold on it yet though. I think it's an interesting idea, but I think there are certainly a lot of questions to be asked about this, including the price point and the whole internet connection. So I do have some concerns about it. I'll give Google the benefit of the doubt though, but right now at this time, I'm just not sold at this moment on Google's latest venture into the video games with this Google Stadia. Or Strata, I apologize if I'm not saying the name correctly. I have a hard time saying that name, though. Okay, this concludes this My 2 Cent video for this week. And again, these are my opinion, but what are yours? What are your thoughts about the Nindies Direct that happened this week? Are you excited with a lot of the games that were announced, though? Were you kind of shocked? Were you shocked to hear that Cuphead was coming to the Nintendo Switch? Do you think this opens the door for other Xbox games to come to the Nintendo Switch? What are your thoughts about the February 2019 NPD? Were you surprised or pleased to see the Nintendo Switch becoming the best hardware system in that report? Or were you kind of shocked and surprised to see Anthem doing very well at all? Were you pleased with what was in this report? Were you not pleased with it? What are your thoughts about the rumor that Bulletstorm Full Clip Edition could be coming to the Nintendo Switch? Do you think that this is a confirmation that it will come to the Nintendo Switch? Do you think it's not a confirmation at all? Do you think this could be announcing just like a sequel to Bulletstorm Full Clip Edition? So is it that? Do you think it's that as well? What are your thoughts about the rumors about what King Zell, this leaker, has been saying about a game that was impossible at first but could be coming to the Nintendo Switch, and that it could be impossible as Mario being on PlayStation? Do you think this is an indication that we could see something like Halo come to the Nintendo Switch? Do you think it's an indication it could be maybe another game, to be exact? What are your thoughts about the Konami collection, though? Are you looking forward to these games coming over? Are you not looking forward to them? And what about the 4 unannounced games for both the Contra and the Castlevania games? What do you think those games are? And do you agree with me that the games that I mentioned should be into that collection as well? What are your thoughts about Lucasfilm Games? Are you pleased that Disney is somewhat bringing them back in a certain capacity, though? Do you think Lucasfilm Games should do a better job examining their IPs, especially after how Star Wars Battlefront 2 was handled by EA, or the way EA has handled the current Star Wars license? And what are your thoughts about Google Stadia, if I'm saying the name correctly, Google's new video game system, which is basically a Netflix-style approach? Do you like this approach? Do you think this is the future of gaming, though? Do you still have some concerns ranging from pricing to internet connection and so forth? You don't like this idea as being the future of gaming? Are you okay with it? Are you not okay with it? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off on the comment section below. Let me know what you think, and I hope you hit that like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You could do it through PayPal me or Patreon. Links will be in the description of this video, and I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that will be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye!